And welcome back to the Pacific Championship Series. We are quickly approaching the finale as teams are dropping out one by one. Today, one team between Machi Esports and J-Team will have to leave their world's hopes behind them, and one of them will join the rest between Beyond Gaming and PSG to figure out who we're actually sending. My name is Clement Chu. I'm going to be your host and play-by-play today, and alongside with me is Nightstar for this journey. First, we will have to go through our sponsors. Thank you very much to CTPC Bank, China Airlines, Chunghwa Telecom, and Caliber for making all of this possible. Now, heading back into the series here, we have a real banger here. One that has, traditionally sort of favored J-Team in terms of the standings, but when it comes to postseason and when it comes to curses and matchups, Machi somehow always comes out ahead. They have 0-3'd swept J-Team in their previous two playoff outings, and this is a trend that's going all the way back to LMS. They denied them from Worlds in 2018 as well. So will J-Team finally break their nemesis, or are they going to fall again to the curse of Machi Esports?
And, Mission coming over from that Machi roster way back when. So maybe that's the key. Bring someone in from Machi to remedy the situation. If it's Machi against Machi, you can't possibly get cursed that way. We'll see how it ends up turning out, though. But, it should be a very interesting series. Mm-hmm. Very different series from their previous results. Like J-Team, they came out firing. They really took it to Hong Kong attitude. And on the flip side, Machi, it was a very swingy series against Boom Esports. So with their current forms, you do have to give J-Team the slight edge. But yes, historically, it is still Machi favored. It's just a matter of, can Machi dig deep, and can Gemini still be that kryptonite?
We'll see for sure, and I totally agree with you. J-Team, even after their first game hiccup, they ended the series with dominance. Machi, on the other hand, the games went a lot longer. It was a lot messier. It was a lot more, I would say, execution focused rather than purely a strategic win coming out from the side of Machi. So if we look at the two previous performances, like what is your indication on how this series, the matchup in general, is going to shake up as?
I think in part, if you look at yesterday's series, a lot of that series was determined through draft. And it was really just Red Side just being too transparent in what they wanted to accomplish in their draft and not really utilizing their counter picks effectively. So for Machi, this is a big boon for them in being able to start on blue side this series. I think that will help remedy a lot of their problems as far as draft goes. I have a prediction of 3-2 merely because if it goes win-loss, 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 they do get 3 blue side opportunities.
It will come down to the wire, but at the end, Machi will still triumph. That's our prediction here. And taking a look at the roster, of course, no changes from yesterday. Machi and J-Team, both of these rosters have basically kept their entire lineup, their starting 5 throughout the entire split. Lee Kai, Gemini, Jimin, Atlin, and Koala. That's going to be your squadron here. Lee Kai, I felt like yesterday had some really good performances, especially on the split push, especially in the 1v1 against Rocky. And that Jax versus Camille might come into the forefront as one of the marquee matchups here against Rest.
Yeah, I think Jax Camille is going to be a matchup we're going to see a decent amount in this series, unless if there will be bans targeted at Camille or Jax, as both of these players do really favor the Camille pick.
Yeah, both of them do have Camille as the most played here.
Yep. Yeah, it's just been such an effective champion, especially for Machi. They actually, in the series before, they really tunnel visioned onto the Camille pick as well, taking it first rotation over on the red side, which is definitely not the answer or not the play on red side, but it shows you their priorities when it comes to draft and making sure they get comfort champions rather than the right champions.
It was full blue side winning yesterday, and you're basically predicting Machi to repeat that performance where they win on the blue side, they drop it on the
Yep.
red side. Well, J Team, on the other hand, they have no trouble on either side against Hong Kong Attitude. We're going to go through the rosters once more. Rest in the top lane, Hana, Jungle, Mission mid lane, and Lovi with Woody rounding out the bottom side here. You know, we did talk about the curse persisting through this roster for quite a long time, but honestly, there aren't that many similar pieces throughout that curse,
Yep.
all the way from the LMS days. Lovi and Woody probably still part of that one. Mission coming over from Machi. You kind of described it like a horror cruise, where it's like, well, if you keep that from a part of Voldemort, you can defeat Voldemort. It's kind of like that sort of dynamic.
Yeah, that's the hope here. And for this J team roster, they actually match up pretty well against Machi when you examine role by role, and that's good and bad because at the same time, Machi they don't show a lot of strategic diversity. So the fact that you don't really outmatch them in their weakest area, which is that bot side, at least not too heavily, it can definitely be a concern as we are going to take a look at these teams' stats. Game timer. This is from regular season. Actually, in the, I think, postseason, it's been very, very similar when it comes to game timer, as all game times have really slowed down. But the big difference has been the gold at 15. J-Team really amping up the differences. They have become the second best early game team. Part of it is due to that previous series against Hong Kong Attitude, but at the same time looking a lot better in the early game overall versus Machi, who have slowed down considerably during the early game.
I have to agree with you. I feel like J-Team is actually the stronger laning team. I think you can describe Machi as having better skirmishes, and that's why their stats throughout the entire split do look better. But if you're just talking about the laning picks, then J-Team definitely is a team to capitalize on those lane matchups and priority a little bit more than actually Machi, which, you know, we've been talking about them as a one-track team, and maybe we didn't specify what that one track is, but it's 1-3-1. That's the only thing they play. They're great at flanking, they're great at picking, but that's pretty much it. J-Team, on the other hand, I think they have a little bit more variability. They do play sometimes front to back. They do play sometimes just full on tempo, but in this matchup specifically, I think both of us were talking about it. We did want to see them just put all of their eggs into the rest and mission basket, give them great laning phase, and then just suppress Lee Kai and Jimin.
Yeah, the main engine for Machi is still Lee Kai and Jimin. Even though I would say Atlin yesterday, he stepped up considerably, and in playoffs in general has really amped up his performance. He's not the liability that we saw often during the regular split, but it still doesn't change how they operate. And Viego looking like that first pick here, it's still baffling to me that Viego manages to get through ban phase almost every single time.
Yeah, you can tell Lee Kai's super happy with that. He can't believe it. It's like, what? They're giving us Viego? Is this really happening? I will say, from what we've seen in postseason, it does seem like J-Team do test a little bit in their first game draft. They have always lost the first game in all of their previous series. Has been a bit of a trend. We'll see if they rue the day that they let Viego through the draft, but J-Team right on track. They're likely going to go for that. No, not Aphelios Thresh, going for Aphelios plus the Lee Sin. Also, one of Hana's best champions here, but not really on the same power level as something at like the Viego. While Machi, we were talking about great Atlan performances. This is what he was doing it on, the Ash pick that was able to kite around in lane so well.
The Ash pick just gives them so much stability in the lane phase. Also helps facilitate that top half of the map. You can use that hawk shot, scout out jungle pathing, and also use that arrow to search for picks. And one of my issues here on red side during these playoffs has just been a little bit too transparent when it comes to what they want to do on red side, and this goes for all teams. The early Aphelios pick, while it's a great champion, because of how early it ends up coming in more often than not, the other team gets an opportunity to just draft a lot of range, and that's what Aphelios really struggles with. It's just getting outranged all the time, and this could, against a Rise, against an Ashe, this is really the building blocks to really just shut this Aphelios down.
All right, we'll see if your prophecy does come true. Just kind of a tangent, but what would you have wanted to see J-Team pick for the red side first pick, if not Aphelios?
I would have liked to see the Thresh Lee Sin, just because it helps stifle the Aphelios locked in immediately as a response, because you don't have that Thresh to play around, and then you can still build a composition that can respond to the opposing Aphelios. But going into second phase, as expected, you're going to see the Thresh ban come out from Machi, and for J-Team, they'll go ahead, take away the Jace, try and take away some of those Lee Kai champions. I fully expect Jace Camille or Jace Jax, if they want to threaten the Camille pick right here on R4.
Yeah, there still are a lot of power picks in the top lane left open here. We could go even further, and Aurelia is definitely going to be one of them, even though it's not been played that much by Lee Kai. But I think Gwen is also looming there, so J-Team most likely just going to hold on to that counter pick and see what Machi do. Machi now have another chance at the top lane or support. I wonder if they're going to take away a power pick here or just continue on the trend of banning Woody. Oh no, they're actually going to be taking out Kennen, which is an interesting one. You don't really see Kennen that much on red side.
Kennen's more of that blue side blind pick, but as expected, it's going to be Camille. And Machi, what's their response going to be? I would assume that they were worried that Kennen might come out for a last pick in response to the Camille pick. But, you know, they kind of set themselves up for this one. And now it's just a matter of what does Lee Kai take into that top side to answer. Has the Jax still available? He did play it yesterday as well, although it did take them a bit to figure out. But it is going to be the Viego headed to the top lane instead. So I like that change of plan. Just give Lee Kai a big carry champion at the same time. It's Gemini going onto a scaling champion, which is good for him. It's just a matter of, do they have enough early agency to make sure that Hana doesn't get to run over the map?
Yeah, that is super interesting. We haven't seen a lot of Viego top lanes ever since the laning sustain nerfs come out. It just meant that he couldn't heal up as much in the laning phase, and that was his primary weapon here. So we're looking at Machi coming up with a lot of champions, like, as we've mentioned, need to be snowballed in the early game. Rise, Viego, Diana, these are now champions that naturally are going to win their laning phases. On the other hand, J-Team will respond with a Rakan, one of Woody's more reactive and protect champions when he doesn't have the Thresher. What do you feel about these two compositions coming in?
I think for the side of Machi, it plays perfectly in what they want to do. And for J-Team, you've got a great setup. You have the Lee Sin LeBlanc. You're going to be able to delete champions pretty readily once you hit level 6. Also have really strong skirmishing power top side because of how much CC, and of course the Ignite coming out from the Camille in tandem with the Lee Sin LeBlanc. So I love the setup overall from the side of J-Team. The only concern, again, there's decent amount of range, and you are also dealing with a Braum. Can this Aphelios find value in team fights? And is this Rakan going to be able to do Rakan things against the team of Machi? I do have concerns about these last picks in that bot side.
Okay, we'll see if Taipei J-Team can find their win conditions. You mentioned a lot of great things about this composition, the catch potential coming out. Aphelios still holding down the fort in the late game. On the other hand, Machi, this is a draft where I feel like it's a very confident draft. This is Machi saying that we're going to outplay you in the early game and somehow make our late game picks work. Like, they're not really supposed to be able to scale Viego. Like, they should not be able to scale all 3 champions against LeBlanc and Lee Sin. That is just not how League of Legends works. But, they still drafted this way. This is completely not what we expected. We talked about it should be about top side skirmish. It should be about fighting for priority. Machi basically threw priority out the window. They don't care about priority. It's all about scaling for them. So we'll see if this strategy works out. And I hate to say it, but factually it has worked in the past for Machi. In this split especially, they did 2-0 J-Team. And even with the late game picks, they actually came out ahead in the early game skirmishes as well, just with better coordination. We'll see if this is the case. It shouldn't be, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, for sure. And for the side of J-Team, of course, there was the interview where they did comment that their weaknesses is that early game coordination. That could play a factor here as Machi go for incredibly greedy drafts. And it almost feels like these drafts are made for the other team, right? Where you have more scaling built into composition on the side of Machi that feels more of a J-Team thing at the moment, because they still have a tendency to play slower even with an advantage. And over on the flip side, like, you get LeBlanc into the hands of G-Man, that should have been a big recipe for disaster for the other team, but it's going to be in the hands of Mission. Can he do those same things that we expect to see out of a player like Mission?
We're going to be taking a look at the runes right here, and for the Ashe, it will be the Hell of Blades. Pretty interesting. We actually have seen previously Lethal Temple come out as well, but is going for a more lane-centric rune here, coming in from Atlan. Also taking a look at Viego in the top lane. It's been a while since we've seen him up there or happened to go in for any laner for that matter, but still a viable flex pick, incredibly powerful, and we'll just be going for the Conquerors plus a Doran shield start.
Yeah, going for a lot of sustain, knowing that Rest is running the Ignite. So he will have the advantage when it comes to early skirmishing, just getting that extra bit of damage, and also the negation of sustain coming in from Lee Kai. Even with the reduced amount of sustain, he still can get a fair amount, but it will be blue side starts from both of these teams. However, well, I was gonna say that Atlan and Koala are a little bit slower to lane, but they are. So I don't think there's a whole lot hidden here. Maybe, well, actually, Atlan didn't even expend mana to hide the fact that they might have given a small leash. So there should be pretty full knowledge here.
Yeah,
that it's going to be either top side or a leashless bot side start.
I think they wanted to cheat it out, but then they realized that the gig is up. We did say J-Team actually used a sweeper, and they found an early ward on the bot side. So they're like, yeah, we know you guys are here. That was dropped from Koala, so it was, they might have been trying to do something gimmicky like you were talking about, but I think they quickly figured out, yeah, it's not going to work. So we're just going to see opposite starts coming in from Gemini and Hana here. Hana getting a leash in the bottom side is going a little bit faster, or should be at least. And then we have the Diana just trying to avoid the Lee Sin in the early game, which does mean that top lane might be a little bit open for Lee Kai. We see him pushing in already. Try to bite up if the Hawk Shot has been taken by Atlan. It's actually already been used. So, I think top side should be relatively safe, but you never know.
Yeah, Lee Kai still likes to play very aggressively, thinking that the jungler isn't there. And with how the pathing is, and with how this wave is, he definitely has set himself up to get ganked. So I think he understands that. He, of course, has a ward around that Tribush area as well. So decent amount of safety here as he looks to try and get that wave crash. But honestly, I think Rest still has that wave frozen. So far, it's bit rough when it comes to Lee Kai trying to break that lane and reset that wave, but at the same time, Gemini being able to clear his
going in? Gemini doesn't land anything though, and Machi with a failed gank. I was very surprised that Woody was going to walk in when they should have known that Diana was right around the corner. But he doesn't get punished for it. The Winter's Bite doesn't land. We don't see concussive blows being there. And the ball land recalls do come out from the side of J Team. A little bit iffy on that play, if I'm being completely honest. That kind of scared me for a little bit for J Team, but they're completely fine. Meanwhile, in the top side, we are seeing Rest just with the pushback. Lee Kai dodging out. Now, this is what we've seen typically from Viego lanes, is because early on, it's all about auto attacks, and Viego can kite you so well with his extended auto attack range. It's actually very hard to outplay him just at early levels.
It's kind of silly, but you know what's more silly? Being able to reset nonstop. And you know, maybe we'll find a fix one day, or maybe teams will just go ahead and ban it more often. J Team did drop their first game against Hong Kong Attitude, and that was in part Kongya just resetting all over the place on that Viego pick. So look for Viego to pop off in these fights, and he has great setup to do so, right? He's got the facilitating factor from this Ashe pick. He's got decent amounts of AoE damage coming in from his mid jungle, and then of course the CC power coming in from this Braum, not necessarily going in with him, but finding a lot of CCF they ever overextend. Woody once again getting pretty adventurous, but Gemini not really in a position that he's looking to take a fight. He's trying to hit level 6 here, as Hana is going to make a stop in this bottom lane. A quarter of the way it's a 6.
Yeah, I have to say, so far the game plan from J Team hasn't really been online. I mean, they're just hitting level 6, so they still have a lot of time, but this is a little bit slower than maybe they want to go. Hana finally finding a target here onto Koala. In the meantime, Alan also gets tagged up, has to put the heal down. Even with Gemini around, Machi were just way too cavalier checking into Hana, and also Alan is just getting chunked out in the bottom side as well. With that, J Team are going to start their first Drake, and look at their vision. This is so beautiful. They have full coverage, and Mission should be able to get here first as well.
And Rest is also resetting for a possible teleport. Lee Kai going for a recall as well.
Here we have double TPs. Gemini going in with the Moonfall, but instantly has to flash out right here. And as you mentioned, Lee Kai is coming into this fight a lot slower. Rest in the front line is going to get the first blood.
But the reset.
Viego starting the recess, and the slow comes down. Little
Here we
gets tagged up. He's down. Double kill already for the Camille. That's going to be 3 triple. Oh, and disaster strikes for J Team. They get their first blood, and they secure the. They don't even secure the Drake.
Yeah, we're gonna have round 2 here coming in very shortly. This time it won't be with the top laners, so at the very least, J Team can fight without having to worry about Viego resets. But already, a bit of a disaster starting out. Gemini goes in here and doesn't get a whole lot of value, unfortunately, from that first ultimate. But the big part is Rest goes a little bit too far, even though he's first on the play. Unable, it's still early. Camille doesn't have those extra stats to back him up when he goes in for those aggressive, full-on team fights, and now Rest is in trouble once
Lee Kai
again.
Can open up on Rest again. Yes, 3-0 and 0, but very clever from Rest. He doesn't try to go in and return the damage
still
here.
Slippery.
Atlan still getting poked out in the lane. Yeah.
Oh, the poke damage. Oh,
he's just dead. Oh my god. The Chakrams plus the Calibrum snipe. What a well done play from Little V, getting the offhand Chakrams onto Alan to finish off the combo. That was absolutely beautiful.
You know what? I take that back. First rotation in Philios every single day of the week. Lil V really making use of that early priority on the Philios. Comes out firing. Woody didn't even have to do much to contribute. Gets the initial knockup, and that's all he needed. But the big thing there is Lee Kai gets a nice little steal, so even though Hana able to secure this first dragon, which is definitely nice for their team that wants to get this game snowballing and force a couple more early skirmishes around the Lee Sin and LeBlanc before they slowly get outscaled by their counterparts. And Machi are pretty happy with what they're able to claim. Getting the red buff onto Lee Kai especially gets that extra sustain and means that this 1v1 is not very fair anymore.
Definitely is, and I hate to be in Rest's shoes right now. In the meantime, while we did see Hana take away the first Drake, Herald also went over to Gemini, just off how strong their top lane is. So we could be seeing the map opening up very quickly here. A lot of exciting things with both of these teams essentially trading sides at this point. A 9-minute Immortal Shield Bow on the side for Little V. Mission does get tacked out, Rune Prison goes down, but he should be completely safe right here. Machi is trying to force the issue onto the bottom side, trying to keep Lil V down, and indeed we see Gemini just popping down the Herald. It's gotta feel so bad for Lil V. He's won his lane, but Gemini is basically copying his homework and acing the test without studying here as he helps Atlan to first tower.
Yeah, he definitely cut a few corners there using Jelly. Helps him out quite a bit.
Does that
but
count as Atlan winning lane?
Yeah, I mean, it's whoever takes tower first. That's the real determining factor in who won lane. Not really the CS differential or the kill score. It's about tower.
Yeah, that's a feels bad for Aphelios for sure. And a really interesting play here by Machi. They're actually freezing top lane and freeing the bottom lane. Kind of the opposite of what you usually see in these scenarios. And it just goes to show that, you know, sometimes Machi isn't all about fully opening up the wave. They want to inflict maximum punishment on Rest instead.
They're just trying to keep this top side in isolation as long as possible. Make sure this Ignite Camille doesn't ever find an opening. Keep him trapped in as okay, that's a big cooldown gone from Gemini's pocket now.
Yeah, very opportunistic to try that against a Rakan, but no Moonfall on Gemini, trying to defend this bot lane in the meantime. Mission has gone back to base, so J-Team, they don't really know about this. They have to assume the LeBlanc is in close proximity. We'll just back out of the play. And it looks like G-Mian will do so as well. So at the end, it will be a tower trade. Machi do have more roaming members around the map. G-Mian going to try in the same spot again. I feel like J-Team really need to do something about that pink ward. Even though Gemini might have missed his ultimate, it still feels pretty high risk to be walking through that ward most of the time.
Yeah, now it looks like they want to set something up here in this mid lane, knowing that Aphelios is trying to beat down that turret bot side. So they're going to try and get what they can here, but it's really just all about setting up for this next dragon take that is coming up in 100 seconds, or trading out for Rift Herald, which is coming up in about 30 seconds after the dragon. So timers are just a little bit off from each other, but with a little bit of stalling, they should match up pretty nicely. And it just comes down to how do you want to play the game. I feel like for Machi, it's rather than getting this second dragon, which is Ocean, they're more focused on making sure that they can try and snowball the game with this Rift Herald, perhaps get 2 towers into Lee Kai's pocket.
For sure. Let's see if that is the play here for Machi. Setting up for a potential kill early on to Rest. Maybe get that Herald as you're talking about. Gemini pops out under the tower, gets the Moonfall. Rest is able to jump out, Hextech Ultimatum, but he's got nowhere to go. And the question is, can they actually trade back onto Gemini? He does go down. Probably still a worthwhile trade for Machi as they do pick up the extra assist gold plus the plates. But that was a pretty nice comeback in Rest. Like, he's been put behind the entire game, and if you get that one kill, you're not feeling terrible, I guess.
It's not the worst of situations for the Camille individually, but the problem is Lee Kai just gets more and more gold. He gets a kill and he gets 2 solo plates. We get to see the replay here. Gemini, it felt like he was forcing the play just a little bit too hard, but it doesn't really matter as long as you're able to secure the kill. And in the end, Lee Kai still gets to play Camille.
Yeah, if Lee Kai really wanted to, he probably could have flashed to take tower aggro, but I agree with you in terms of the game plan. Like, Lee Kai 4-0-0, he gets to keep all the summoners. Gemini is happy to go to the grave, knowing that his top lane is this far ahead. And we see the trade happening right now. Machi actually might try to go for both here. Very interesting.
They get rest.
Yeah, that would still be a 2-for-1 if it does happen. Lil V, in the meantime, going to pick up another tower. Lil V is very accelerated this game, so maybe he can claw something back. In the meantime, J-Team are converging onto the Herald. They should just be able to take this one away, while Machi just settle for farm in the bottom side.
Yeah, Lil V is very accelerated this game. Of course, already has the shield bow. He should be very close to his second item. Looking... you know, I would guess he's probably opting in towards the collector, but now
he's got some things to say about this Herald takedown. The smite is there for Hana. Let's see if he can find it. And oh no, Lee Kai takes the Herald away. Oh, thank you very much, J-Team. And Machi get both objectives. Mission's even slowed down here. He's a LeBlanc. He will get out, but that was disastrous for Machi, and Machi are going to pop it instantly for the tempo play.
They're going to be able to secure this mid tower for sure, and should be able to secure a charge on that second tower at the very least. No, just kidding. Lil V will be able to clear out the wave, and you know, Lil V's still he's very close to that collector, but it's just a matter of, can he get into these fights? Because he is up against a Ryze and an Ashe and a Braum. Braum can mitigate so much of his damage, and then you have to deal with the dive coming in from the Diana and this very fed Viego. And remember, if Aphelios dies, then it's not J-Team's Aphelios anymore, it's Machi's Aphelios.
That is true. We have seen some pretty sick Viego Aphelios plays, like... He has 5 guns, but apparently Viego players know how to use the Rabbit very well.
Not a whole lot happening. Things kind of slowing down. Oh.
Okay. Gemini, that's
unlucky. Gemini snags that one away. At the same time, you know, it is an Ashe.
Okay, sure.
Oh.
And I should be back right now as Gemini does try to find a catch onto Hana. He's going to hold back onto the Moonfall. Really sorry about this. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties on my end. So, Mission gonna get caught out on the side. Everfrost goes down. Mission pops right into his passive. Just has to turn tails and run. Realm, we're not even gonna let him go. Can he find the real Mission? Ash arrow! He dodges it out! Mission's out! The Mission Impossible escape right there. Not what you want to see out of LeBlanc, but at least he gets away.
It took a lot of a labored effort, but he was able to get there in the end. And you know what? It's not a great outcome regardless, because it still takes Mission's flash to do it. And the even bigger issue is just the fact that, well, J-Team, they need this LeBlanc to be a really big focal point of their 1-3-1 at the moment, and if he can't take that 1v1 against the Ryze, it doesn't spell great news moving forward into this game. So J-Team now starting to feel the pressure, haven't been able to execute around this Lee Sin LeBlanc combination, and it's really everything in this Aphelios basket. Can he get into a fight to deal the damage, or is it just kind of the trap that we've seen on red side? Early priority this Aphelios and then get countered by the composition nature on blue side.
Yeah, this is not what you want to see with Lisa and LeBlanc at 18 minutes. Only 1 takedown, 1 assist on Mission. So The scaling picture does not look rosy right here, and the greatest worry for me is that J-Team currently don't really have the burst damage to deal with Likai. Likai is going to be looking at Sterk's Gauge very, very soon. He did not go for the Blade of the Ruined King. He's fed enough where he knows that survivability is likely more important than raw damage. He's got that just from EXP at this point, so doesn't really opt into that one. And these fights should be incredibly difficult. Like, realistically, if J-Team want to win a fight, they actually just need to kill Likai. Straight up. They need 100% of their damage onto that Viego. They need to kill him first. If they don't do that, he's going to snowball the entire game away from them. We do have an Infernal Soul, and Infernal Drake will start off on that path. J-Team just coming in for a full frontal assault here. Mission trying to go into the backline. We have Hana stealing away the objective, and they do find Gemini first. So very good kill there. Woody also is able to escape, not giving over the reset. Mission goes in, might fall down to Likai, but that is only a clone. A full onslaught.
That's the first reset.
Finally, Likai gets the first reset going in. Can he salvage his team fight? That's going to be 2 kills on his end. Likai gonna hop away at the very end, though. The rest of the members are going down. Hana finds him. He goes in. Another Heartbreaker goes down. But Hana still survives here, and they do get the big shutdown. J-Team clean up the team fight with a full ace and steal away the Drake.
And finally, this Aphelios does get to chime in, and what an answer it is. Coming in from Lil V, gets himself 3 kills, and Rest also doing really nice things. But the key factor was Mission out on this flank here. Likai forced to try and keep this LeBlanc occupied, and while he was able to get the dunk onto this LeBlanc pick, unfortunately unable to really help out the rest of the team. So because of how occupied he was, it means that Lil V just doesn't have a whole lot of pressure applied to him, because if you remember, what did Gemini do? Well, he tried to secure the dragon rather than look for the fight. And because of that, didn't get a great ult to pressure this Aphelios away from the fight. And he just goes untouched, unanswered, and he makes Machi pay.
Yeah, it was beautiful team fighting coming in from J-Team on both ends. Gemini didn't even use his Moonfault that fight. He just straight up died. Great pick off from the side of J-Team there. Woody goes in and is still able to hop out without giving over the reset. The Mission, I can't believe, but he on the backline by himself actually chunked out Atlan and Likai to half. I was a little bit surprised that that would be possible for Mission to do that much damage, but he finds it through Koala, just probably paying attention to the other side of the map. Lil V will get tagged up right here. The stun is very long, and he's just gone.
My Aphelios now. Likai, as fed as Lil V is, Likai is now this very fed Aphelios. So they should be able to shred through this turret here, do so much damage, and they're in line to take a 22-minute inhib straight down mid lane. A ridiculous turnaround given the fact that J-Team just won that last team fight. But Machi, there's so much pick potential and global pressure coming in from this Ash Arrow. And on the side of J-Team, they were just trying to set up for 1-3-1. Then their AD carry gets picked, and they're off scrambling.
And that was pretty insane because, honestly, I don't think there was much that J-Team could do about that play. Like, it wasn't like Lil V was in the middle of the lane. He was underneath his own tower.
Yeah.
That was just great execution for Machi. Like,
yeah, it's not even the big problem with some of these AD carries right now, and the fact that they just end up walking all the way up to lane, all the way to that river point when they don't have a tier 1. This time he's just hugging his tower, but no, that extra range means, well, Ash Arrow stuns you for longer, and that's just more than enough time for the rest of Machi to just run at him and finish the deal. And that's a big shutdown going into the hands, I believe, of Gemini, which gets him back into this game. Yes, he's been farming well, but hasn't had a whole lot of impact at 0-3-3 before that kill fell into his pocket.
Extremely quiet game from Gemini, to be absolutely honest here. We haven't really seen a well-coordinated team fight. Moonfall coming in from the Diana. Earlier on, it was like the Moonfall wasn't really necessary at all. I don't think he had it in the first Drake fight either. So we'll be looking forward to that one. In the meantime, we do see how J-Team can actually come back and win some of these team fights here, but my question is, are they going to be able to replicate that? It feels... I find it really hard to believe that Gemini is going to not ult in two team fights in a row. So I still think it's really hard on the execution.
Exactly. It's definitely very...
Oh, Rest gets stunned up right here. Diego comes in with another stun, but Hana will protect him there with the straight up kick away. Mission, on the meantime, isn't going to be able to join this fight, so it will be a straight 5v4 here. Lil V with Mission a lot of wave clear. Oh, that's right. Couldn't come in potentially for a flank, but it looks like Machi will just head for this Infernal Drake. No one trying to go up and defend against this Mission push. We'll see what they try to do here. There is no vision for them in the river, so J-Team have to walk through this.
Still look for a steal, but I don't think they should commit.
Ooh, it's kind of slow. Oh, another great kickback on
they're still going.
Gemini. So he pops into the Zhonya's right before getting his move fall in. Mission also comes in with the damage, putting Lee Kai super low, but Jimian able to flash out at the very end. That is 4 flashes on the side of Machi, and J-Team looks like they are heading towards the Baron pit here. Are they going to be able to start it? It's a risky play, and they have minions flooding into the base, but they're heading towards it. Ah, it's a fake.
They definitely thought about it, but the teleport coming in is going to force them to recall. However, Lee Kai is pretty far in now. The collapse should come through, and he's got a long ways to run.
Heartbreaker goes over the wall, but doesn't take him out of the Hextech ultimatum. J-Team with the bait. No, Lee Kai's still able to get out? That's absolutely ridiculous. Lee Kai trying to keep J-Team honest right there, and I didn't think J-Team was going to go for that Baron anyhow, but that turnaround fake, it definitely made Lee Kai expend a flash and a TP.
The big thing is the fact that Lee Kai does have to use that ultimate, also has to expend both of his summoners, but now would he possibly caught out here? They could flash.
Oh, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow does go out, and this time Gemini is stuck onto him. Woody's just going to die right on top of the Baron. Ooh, a risky place to go down here, as Machi will start the objective immediately. J-Team now have to funnel through.
Does that teleport?
He does, for that matter, and J-Team, they should suspect something. Okay, now they know for sure that the Baron is being taken down. Diego is going to play zone away, and Jimian, they're just going to go for the kill. They're not trying to go for the risky Baron. Moonfall once again hit away by Hana. What a great play, and Allen opens up, but he is stopped by Rest. The Ashe does finally find the first target onto Hana. Lee Kai going in as a Lee Sin Dragon's Rage, but Lil V with the Chakarums is going to hold his ground. He's doing so well in this funnel choke point. Multiple members blocking for him, and he just unloads on the side of Machi.
Now they can start chasing.
The chain, gets the electrocute. Lee Kai is going to pop into camouflage. Let's see if he can dodge out of this one. He will be able to escape, but J-Team ward off the Baron.
They do indeed ward off the Baron. So we get to see the replay here. Really nice play call, to be fair, coming in from Jimian as they try and go in, but a beautiful Dragon's Rage prevents the second half of damage coming in from Gemini, and that really just saves the fight so much for the side of J-Team. Would have absolutely shredded so many of their health bars. They would have been able to punch through that front line really quickly and then get access onto Lil V, but as a result, Lil V is able to stand his ground and able to get so many chakrams that just force Machi away from that fight. And, I mean, J-Team able to escape from that one, but it's still a tall task. It's all about keeping Lil V alive here. And that's the issue. J-Team know it, but Machi also know it. And it just comes down to who gets Lil V. You know, is it Machi's Lil V or is it J-Team's Lil V?
It's pretty much all eyes on Lil V. I like the way you put it right there. We'll see Machi if they can replicate the previous catch that opened up the mid lane inhibitor. Just straight with the Ashe Arrow. That seems to be the most direct route here, as we do have essentially double cleanses coming in from Lil V, trying to be as safe as possible in this situation. It will take him a bit of a lot of his damage potential, to be absolutely honest, but
he is super far ahead, though.
Yeah, he does want to be super careful with that. Enchanted Crystal Arrow does go wide. Machi pushing up directly into the mid lane on the open inhibitor, and they are just going to use this as a fork to get back onto River Vision, which is currently controlled fully by J-Team. Actually, no, they're doing a straight base here. Huh. Very interesting. See what they
looking
get.
for the reset, knowing that Dragon is up in 50 seconds. However, it does concede a lot of space for J-Team to just sprint towards this Baron buff. And a bit of small blunder here, leaving Baron unattended, and now they're just going to start it up. They do have vision on it though, and now they're just going to try and make their way over. I don't know if they'll be here in time for the contest, but they might be able to stop them from leaving.
Yeah, J-Team looks like they want to turn around and fight. They're going to start on Koala, but a massive moonfall goes into the backline, hits a 3-man. Lil V is caught within the hexagonal native. He goes down first. That is going to be Likai just opening on the rest of the team, but they do find Likai at the very end. A critical pick from Rest does stop the resets from happening. Hana now trying to escape. He is going to go into the enemy side of the jungle. He is low HP. Can he actually make it out? Ooh, I wonder if he's going to do a full retreat or if he's going to hang around to try and maybe get the Infernal Drink. Okay, he's not going to play it too risky. We'll just go and reset. And in the meantime, I love this play from JT. 2 members pushing up onto the top side. Let's see if Hana is found. Oh, no, he gets tagged, but he still makes it out.
Oh, it's just at the very end of that recall timer. Unfortunately, unable to stop him. But fortunately for J-Team, they were able to kill Likai before he was able to secure Lil V's body. Otherwise, that would have been absolute disaster. And Gemini stepping up once again, just popping off. And unfortunately, Likai just doesn't get that soul. And Hana salvages the scenario to a small degree, but still. Machi get themselves their 3rd dragon. It's double infernal into their hands. It pumps up a lot of you know, usually you don't think of Ashe being a high DPS member, but if Atlan goes uncontested in these fights, is allowed free time to just fire off arrow after arrow, those extra inferno dragons are going to start really making a dent.
Yeah, for sure. You know, she's got this on-hit build already lined up, and there aren't that many tanky members on the side of J-Team. It really is a scenario where I don't think the damage difference coming in between Ashe and Aphelios is going to be the difference maker right here. To be honest, in the last team fight, I felt like the turnaround from J-Team was a little bit suspect. They use a lot of abilities on Brawl, and I was like, I'm not sure about this, guys. And I have to think that once again they're just getting bailed out by Hana and Rest. Like, if those 2 guys weren't able to stop Likai and stop Atlan from charging in, that should have been a complete wipe on the side of Machi. It was very close to being just a full-blown disaster for J-Team. So I do want to see them play a little bit more careful, as Mission is going to go in for a little bit of a love tap onto Jimian. Jimian, sensing that he is being followed, will just back out right in time. Doesn't try to take the 1v1. Very clever of him. In the meantime, J-Team still holding on to this vision advantage on the Baron. We have seen that they do have the burst potential now, especially with Lil V, to take anyone that does face check. So Machi, they have to work their way very slowly, using the Hawkshot first, and then making it into
But at the very least, they do have Atlan on this Ashe pick, has 2 Hawkshots available to him, of course, but not currently at the moment. And combine that with the fact that you have double blue wards, it makes for a very difficult task to try and just sneak away the Baron buff. But at the very least, they do have full vision control. J-Team looking to siege down mid once more. And Likai popping that harrowing path.
I do want to mention something pretty interesting here. We have a Death Stance coming out from Rest. Not an item that we've seen very much at all. Usually it has been just the Ravenous Hydra coming out, but what do you make of this?
What item?
Death Stance coming out from Rest, but we'll have J-Team starting on this Baron, so maybe we're gonna have to postpone that discussion. Mission trying to keep zoning away. Gemini opens up onto Mission, and Mission looks like he might be going down right here.
That's a big
already
team
down
fight
to
out,
200
though.
HP. Can Likai interrupt anymore? J-Team do sneak away the Baron. Rest flies in onto Likai. Hana also opening on him, but on the other end, Woody goes down, and so does Hana follow. Rest is also stuck up here by the Rune Prison. He's caught amongst the entire enemy team. There's nowhere to go for Rest. J-Team take down the Baron, but the question is, at what cost?
And it's going to be the side of Machi still on the chase. They want Lil V as well. Koala
he is gonna dodge out on the hook shot, but Likai still coming in for him. He even keeps the hook shot for this play.
He's very far from home.
Yeah, Lil V, I don't see you getting out of this one. He is gonna try though.
Way out here, and he's not gonna be able to do it, and that just might be the game, Clement. But no, it's just gonna be that mid hit in him taken once more. They don't have quite enough damage to be able to finish out the game straight up there. Definitely could have taken one Nexus Tower, but it would have prevented them from being able to strip away all these camps afterwards and set up for this Dragon Soul, more importantly, as it's going to be 10 seconds.
Yeah.
You get to see the replay here. Mission just takes so much damage at the start, but the big thing is, well, now Gemini doesn't have that Moonfall to re-engage, but J-Team solved that problem for him. They end up overdiving way too hard here. Leave Lil V behind. And this is the issue with Aphelios right now. If he gets a lot of room to just free fire, that's great. But a lot of the times, your front line, your engaged champions kind of leave you behind. You don't have a way to follow up comfortably without Calibrum in your kits. And Machi, they get themselves a free Inferno Soul during that replay. This game feels just way too over.
Yeah, it does feel done and dusted. And we do have to mention, in that replay, J-Team, they could have just backed out. It was Hana and Rest in the pit. They're super mobile champions. They don't have to go in. But they chose to, and they also had split focus. Like, they didn't go in on the same side. They couldn't. And Woody actually even dies first there, so I just haven't been very impressed with J-Team turnarounds this game. We'll see if they can hold on for now. Once again, it seems like the only path for J-Team is just to kill Likai, but he's very tanky at this point. Already up to 8 kills. And with the Infernal, so I think it's going to be very difficult to prevent someone going down and allowing Likai to just use that Sovereign's Domain and become untargetable. Like, Rest is going to take a try right here. Now. Gemini with the Moonfall forces out the Hextech ultimate, and Gemini going to go into Zania's. He does go down first, and Aphelios has a perfect opportunity to deal damage, but we do have Likai now starting to get the resets. Lil V walking back in. Adlin tracking him down, slowing him, and he does fall down. Infernal just is way too much damage. They don't even need to take the Realm Warp. Just going to pop over the wall. 1K hits coming in from Jimian in that team fight, and Lil V just takes one step extra, falling to his death. Machi on the brink of taking down this game one. Mission and Rest have to fight through all the auto attacks, and Machi flashed the emotes on the end.
Machi take game number one, and yes, it was a little bit swingy inside the game, but from a composition perspective, it was always going to be an uphill battle for the side of J-Team, and you saw, yes, they were able to find plays, but it was nonetheless a struggle time and time again, and in the end, it was Machi to come out on top.
We're going to be taking a look at the last team fight right here. The positioning was actually quite good for Aphelios, opening up over the wall, you know, not really being deterred. He gets so many free shots here, first shutdown, and the best thing is they kill Likai straight afterwards as Likai goes in a little bit too aggressively, but look at this, the slow coming in from Rune Prison, the damage from Atlan at the end. It was unfortunate. He tried everything he could.
Yeah. And the issue was you couldn't get past that Braum. Yes, you would like to do DPS to the Ashe, but how do you return fire when there's a Braum door just slamming that opportunity shut? And it was just always going to be a very difficult battle for this Aphelios to come online. Yes, he did very well in the lane phase, But that's kind of how this pick is at the moment. Against Ziggs, against Ezreal, against Ashe, he does well in lane. That's not the issue. It's just getting value in these team fights. That's been a repeated issue on red side. And once again, I call into question the priority put onto this pick.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right to do so. It looks like J-Team, I don't look. First off, they're going to ban Viego. They do not have the execution bar to play against a Viego.
They do have blue side, Clement.
Okay.
They do have blue side.
I still think they're going to ban Viego. I'm just going to come out right here and say it. They're going to ban Viego. They don't really play Viego jungle, and they're not going to swap around Viego. So they're just going to ban 100%. That's going to be my prediction. Second of all, my second prediction, Clem's Laments here. They are going to play full team fight. I don't think they can play early game execution against Machi.
Yeah, it was definitely... They needed to execute around the Lee Sin LeBlanc, and where were the takedowns? There were none. It was such a slow game, and you saw once they started falling behind, they never got the courage to execute around that level 6 execution power that they had, and it was just really all downhill from there. You see, Lil V tried. He really tried. 30k damage dealt, highest in the game. But where was the follow-up? There was no follow-up from the rest of his team. He couldn't get past the door of Braum towards those late-game team fights.
Oof, a lot of low damage graphs coming out from the side of J-Team. Mission, pretty much a non-factor this game. Like, he had one good team fight. We'll give him that. But in the ensuing team fights, it was so hard for him to do anything. And if you don't snowball as a LeBlanc, this is kind of what you look like. The same thing goes for Hana. Great kicks onto Gemini, but Gemini learned pretty quickly. Gemini was like, I'm just going to pop my Moonfall whenever Hana's not around. Like, I don't care. I'm going to pop it early. So, Machi just... I'll be honest, I feel like Machi got away with this draft. I didn't expect this draft to be so smooth in the early game. But kudos to them. They made it happen. And on the flip side, J-Team not really putting their pieces, not really having execution, especially in the teamfight terms, to make this comp work.
Yeah, this teamfight comp, or this composition really fell apart at the seams. They weren't able to set up flanks, especially when you're taking something like a Baron. You're all stuck in the pit. It makes for very honest fight lines for this Ashe, for this Braum to just say, all right, I don't have to do anything too creative here. And Atlan's actually the one to get MVP. He had great arrows, able to find multiple targets here, which led to key picks. Most importantly, that shutdown onto the Philios in the mid lane tier 2. He was hiding under the tier 2, but that's no issue for this Ashe pick. And I love this look coming in from Machi when they do go for picks like Ashe. However, Atlan himself has also fallen into the trap of locking in Philios on red side. So we have to see how this trend continues.
All right, congratulations to Atlan for winning the MVP right there. Kind of a rare occurrence. Usually it's G-Man gobbling all of them up, but his Ashe has been absolutely spectacular to watch. We have a very exciting series coming in forward here. Both sides testing out the waters. And just as a reminder, J-Team always lose game 1. So if you're a J-Team fan out there, don't worry. This is part of the course. They will come back strong in game 2 shortly after these messages.